welcome. John McCarthy, senior reporter at The Drum here, and I'm joined today by Spot X's Ed Whale, and we're going to have an end-of-year chat about its cross-platform real-time measurement tool, Metrics. But first, let's talk about the importance of such ad tech solutions right now. Ed, talk me through some of the media consumption changes in CTV and the wider OTT ecosystem these last few months, please.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's well, it's been an extraordinary year on a number of counts, but not least of which I think in terms of the trends that we've been seeing, particularly in consumption across big screen CTV devices. We actually launched a research report in the middle of the year that was kind of looking to uncover some insights into this new emerging audience of kind of CTV viewers. We launched a survey with 1,500 respondents across European markets to try to gauge, who are these audiences, what are their preferences and so on and so forth. To pull out some of the key takeaways from that report, I think one key point here is that scale has arrived in CTV. So it's long been a question around whether, there's really been a critical mass of scale against some of these CTV offerings that marketers can leverage. And certainly now what we're seeing is, over 40% of all internet-enabled TV households now have an active CTV device in the UK. And that trend is measured as, comparable across European markets as well. I think another key finding from that research report was that there is a universal appeal to CTV as a device and as a method of consumption. Again, I think a preconception has been that, CTV is most appealing to younger audiences, perhaps early adopters. That wasn't the case. What we found in our research report, that in fact, all demographic groups, all socioeconomic groups find appeal and, are interested and enjoy consuming CTV devices. So, that was some great insight that we pulled together in the middle of the year. And of course, it has to be said that the circumstances we found ourselves in this year with the pandemic has indeed accelerated, that move towards digital consumption. But, I wouldn't want to necessarily say that it's been the sole driver. I think it's been a long time coming. A lot of investment's been made by various different players in the ecosystem to really drive up adoption and availability of CTV services.
Some interesting facts in there. One that I liked the best was maybe to reconsider the age of the people adopting now at this stage. It's always been young, and that's not so much the case anymore.
Absolutely.
So every week or so, I sort of get an email in from every new player on the market, and I find it quite difficult to navigate. Could you sort of talk me through the players on the market and how marketers should navigate it?
Yeah, well, with the increased interest, increased consumption, increased appetite, let's say, from consumers for CTV devices, obviously that's followed and in part enabled by all of these new services that are now available in the ecosystem. But I like to think of them in a few distinct groups. First you've got these device manufacturers that have a lot of scale. They have really unique data sets into the viewership trends across their entire ecosystem, and therefore a unique view of their ecosystem, the ability to kind of track or understand the movements of viewers across both linear and OTT apps. Every part of their device really creates a rich data set for them to activate against. You've got the broadcasters, right? They've been, national broadcasters have obviously been in this OTT space for many years now. They've had, services live, and they have, really large scale, logged in, loyal audiences that they've been leveraging to great effect for some time. I think in their case, what's certainly been reported is that the shift of viewing on their OTT services, in recent years has really been towards the big screen as well. And now I think, another group would be your kind of global media owner launching services now in Europe, like Discovery Plus, we recently heard about. It kind of represents a direct to consumer business model. That's a new business model. It's an opportunity for them to really build a close relationship with the consumer and build on a global brand as well, where previously perhaps they would have been focusing on, distributing to different partners, acquiring content for certain distribution outlets. And then you have the FAST services, the free ad-supported streaming television guys, the Pluto TVs, the Rakuten TVs of the world, which have absolutely arrived in Europe now. It's not purely a US phenomenon that we often read about in the trades. Now I think we're seeing a meaningful scale and really interesting premium content also being made available via those services. So it's an exciting space, definitely one of a lot of opportunity, but certainly, it is also resulting in new outlets that we're absolutely encouraging, marketers and advertisers to invest in and to test and learn against.
Many advertisers are still carving out what the budget should be in this space, and of course that requires the right type of measurement to sort of justify these costs. How do marketers...
Big question, John.
Oh, here it's coming. How can marketers, show that the CTV space in particular is working? How do they show their numbers?
Yeah, fragmentation and access via platforms are a couple of challenges they face, but perhaps the biggest one is the measurement challenge, and that's absolutely what we're trying to solve for with our launch of the Metrics product, right? It's a fairly obvious statement to say that in order to kind of get increased investment in a new channel, a new emerging services and so on and so forth, advertisers need to understand what the value of that investment is and how they should compile a media plan that makes most sense for their particular target audience, and where that audience might currently be being found across all the various different channels. So with the launch of Metrics, we're trying to really do two things. So the first is illuminating, understanding these audiences behind CTV and OTT activations, right? What is the demographic makeup? What is the socioeconomic makeup of a household? And how can prior delivery inform future strategies based on performance of each of those groups? So that's hugely important to validating the spend on CTV devices. But I think that the even bigger question is the question of how does CTV sit within the context of linear TV? And that is really the second part of Metrics that we think is going to be super interesting for advertisers to kind of get stuck into and start understanding their CTV activations in that context. We're seeing fluid movement of audiences between linear TV and CTV right now, and perhaps the spend has yet to follow, and it's for this reason. So Metrics brings it leverages a unique integration into Barb to enable marketers who run this measurement to understand the incremental reach of their CTV activations versus a linear TV campaign. And the initial results are very compelling, very exciting, as we'd expect to see. We see CTV as a very effective channel for driving incremental reach, particularly among certain demographics. In fact, what we're seeing, an interesting kind of metric that we're looking at is what percentage of users or viewers reached on connected TV were unique to connected TV, i.e. not found on linear TV. And we're seeing a fairly high incidence of that stat, potentially over half in some cases. And obviously it depends on the various variables of your audience and your activations on linear and so on and so forth. But we really are seeing an interesting skew towards, younger audiences that are light linear viewers, hard to reach on linear, being very effectively reached on CTV devices. So absolutely look forward to sharing more results in 2021, with the broader market. I think it's certainly the year to activate against the promise of programmatic and connected television, and to start really understanding what level of investment makes most sense for a particular marketer's objectives.
It certainly is a big year ahead, and I'm sure I'm going to be asking you lots of questions to sort of work out what's happening. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. So I would like to just thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and for anyone watching.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Cheers.